Hello guys, Kalmier here once again, and so today we're going to be working on Redstone circuitry, different things like AND gates, NORs, NOR latches, but before I get into that, I wanted to thank everyone who has responded to my last video in regards to images for my background and my banner on my channel. I've got a lot of submissions for that, and I will go ahead and go through them and probably pick one out by Friday. So look forward to that. Also, I want to give a really big shout out to DocM77. I will go ahead and link his video in the description. But he has been really helpful in assisting me with the information for the partnership. I had a lot of questions and he was willing to help answer those out for me. So once again, I want to give him a really big shout out, and of course he's in my he's on my channel listed under the names to know, Minecraft names to know. So again, thanks a lot Doc M for that help. Alright, and so let's go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an AND gate first. And an AND gate is just that. It means that you have to have both A and B have to be on in order for your output to be on. And so to build that, you do 3 blocks in a row. And you use 3 torches. 2 of them on one on either end and 1 on the front. Then you put 1 redstone dust on the top between the 2 torches, and those turn off this bottom torch. So there's your output. As you can see, it's off right now. And so once again, both statements have to be true. In other words, both of these have to be activated in order for it to turn off the signal. So go ahead and put a signal over there. Alright, so if this one's off, nothing happens. Or, well, if this one's on, nothing happens. If this one's on, nothing happens. But if both of them are on, then we get power. Now, this can actually be extended. This is obviously just 2 inputs, but you can have multiple inputs. If I go 2 more out, well, 4 more out this way, the torches have to be 2 spaces apart like that, or, well, 1 space in between them. And then you basically just put redstone dust down the middle. If you go further than 15, which again, it's per side. So 2, 4, and then this is 5. So if you went out 15 that you had to keep extending this, you could always put a repeater between where the torches are, and it will allow you to have multiple, but why you would ever need that many, I have no idea. So anyway, for this to work, basically every single one of these have to have power to them in order to turn off the torches that they correspond to. And this might be useful, I don't know, if you build like adventure maps or a complex structure, in which case like you have to solve 6 different puzzles for a temple door to open or something like that. So this is an AND gate, and let me go ahead and kill the sheep and tear this down, and I will be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and now I'm going to show you another useful there we go, another useful circuit. It's called a rapid pulse generator. And what that is okay, if you have a button set up to like that piston, okay, when you push it, it goes up and then it comes down. It takes about a second. Alright, and there are some cases, like people are making minecart dispensers, little Pez dispenser type things and stuff like that, in which case they want it to, like if they had a door or something, they want it to flip quicker than that 1 second that a switch does, or that a button does. So to do that, you would make a rapid pulse generator. It just creates a real quick pulse, and to do that, you put 2 blocks 1 space apart. In between that space, you're going to put a repeater and set it to 3. From there, you're going to put torches on either side. Now, your input is going to be the one that's feeding the other one on the repeater. So this is my input. You're going to put a torch on one side, and then on the other block, you're going to put a torch on the opposite side. And that actually doesn't matter. You can actually have it this way as well, as long as the torches are on opposite sides. And from your source block, you're going to have redstone go from that torch up and over to the other block. Alright, and that's pretty much it right there. Your output is going to be the torch that's currently off. And so if you had a button set up to this, if you'll watch the piston in the background, and it works the same with doors, the door will just open and close real fast, allowing minecart, like one single minecart to fall through instead of multiple. And you can also have this like wired off to the side. So if your button or feed was somewhere else, it would still work. Alright, and once again, this is called a rapid pulse generator. It creates a really quick pulse. And let me go ahead and gather this all up, and I will be right back once again. Okay guys, I'm back, and the next thing I want to show you is different styles of clocks that you can have. And a clock is basically something that just keeps sending a signal to your redstone dust without you having to toggle a switch over and over and over. Before I do that though, in my last video I mentioned that torches were considered 1 tick, which would be equivalent to that. That's 1 tick. There was a little bit of confusion about that, and unfortunately it comes from the word tick. A tick is considered in gaming basically a standard measurement of time. Now that can mean a lot of things. How long it takes for the sun to travel all the way to night can be considered a tick because it constantly happens every day. How long it takes for this redstone torch to turn off compared to how long it takes it to get through that repeater is considered 1 tick. When you're talking about computer cycles, it does take a torch 2 computer cycles, not 1 like I said before. So I apologize for that. But it still is equivalent to 1, or the first spot on this. And to prove that, I will set this to 4, and as you can see I have 4 torches. Okay, so if this is equal, they should go up at the same time. If they're not equal, this one should go up, and then twice later, because that'd be 2 ticks plus 2 ticks plus 2 ticks, so that should be 8 ticks. This one, the one on the left, should take twice as long to go up. But as you can see, they go up exactly at the same time. So 1 torch is equivalent to 1 tick on this repeater. 4 torches is equivalent to 4 ticks on that. Okay? Alright, so let me tear this down and I will show you how to build a clock. Okay guys, so a clock is basically something that's just going to keep sending a signal over and over and over. And to do that, you create a loop. So there's our power source, and you want this power source to go around in a circle over and over, turning itself off, turning itself back on. Basically it's chasing its own tail. So to do this, we put a block, put a torch, and then going out from the torch to the side we put a repeater. And I'm going to set it to 4, and this is called a 5 clock. And the reason for that is because, again, this is 4 ticks plus the 1 tick is 5. So that's why this is called a 5 clock. From here, from the front of the repeater, you simply loop back around into the block. So when this is powered, it powers the dust, which turns off the block, turning off the torch, turning off the power to the repeater, turning off the dust, and basically, again, it just chases its own tail. So if we put this to our piston, it just keeps sending the signal, and that's every half second, because 5 ticks is half a second. It takes 10 ticks to equal a full second. So the problem with this is it can freeze. Like when you log out, the repeater could be stuck in the on position. So anytime you have a 5 clock like this, I always suggest having an on-off switch. And all it requires is a simple switch, and you can have that wired all the way over to your base, all the way over to a friend's house, wherever you want. Wow, that's horrible dust placement. So no matter where you put it, as long as it's, can reach, put repeaters where needed or whatever. When you turn it on and the dust activates the block, it turns off the torch, which means there is no more power running in a circle. That's all it requires. And then when you sign back onto the server or back onto your world, simply turn it on, let it do whatever it's supposed to do. But when you're not using it, leave it off. Never leave a 5 clock running. It can freeze. There's no point in it. A lot of people are in favor of using the old school method. To do the old school method, you basically have 5 blocks, 2, 3, and you have them 2 spaces apart here. And then you come over like that, and you basically just build a circle of these. So this block, that dust goes into this block, that torch, and you just go in a circle basically. And a lot of people are in favor of this method of a 5 clock because it doesn't freeze, or when you log out and log back in, it's really easy to reset. But again, like I said, if you have a 5 clock, I would just have a permanent on-off switch that stops the 5 clock in its tracks, and don't let it keep running, because if it's running, it's also going to kind of lag your world a little bit. And it's very easy to extend a 5 clock using the repeaters. You just add more repeaters. The thing that you do have to worry about with the different types of clocks that they have is if it's too short, it can burn itself out. Actually, I'll go ahead and leave that on 1 tick. It's going so fast that it burns itself out, and I think it has to be 8 on-off switches. So it has to turn on 8 times within 5 seconds for it to burn itself out. So 1 is too long, or is too short, sorry. 2 lasts a little bit longer but still burns out, and I think 3 is the shortest you can have it. And it won't burn out because it does not toggle on it does not toggle on 8 times in 5 seconds. It takes longer than 5 seconds, and so it will never burn out. And so 3 is the least you can have, so that would actually be a 4 o'clock because of the torch behind it. And to make these longer, you just add repeaters. Very simple. So there's 4, 8, 12 plus the 1. This is a 13 clock. So it's going to be a lot longer delay between pulses, but it still has the pulses. Alright, once again, make sure you have an on-off switch. What is missing there? Oh, turn it on. Alright, there we go. That deactivates it. Alright, so let me tear this down, and I'll be right back once again. Okay guys, the next thing I want to show you are a couple options for flipping signals. This means when you have a signal come in, it's going to turn something on, and then when you hit another switch, it's going to turn it off. Normally these are called, I think they're called latches, because it's either open or closed, it's either on or off, true or false. The first one I'm going to show you is RS NOR latch. But before I get into that, I need to go over a little terminology first, so that you can kind of understand this. Actually, instead of using torches, let me use levers. Okay, so first is an OR gate. OR gate is very simple. If this is on, or if this is on, then the piston's going to be activated. Okay, if one or the other is on. Doesn't matter which one, if either one of them is on, it's activated. Okay, so that's an OR gate. Now a NOR gate means not OR. And what that means is that it's going to be on unless one of these switches are hit. So it's the opposite of an OR gate. It's still OR because you have multiple inputs, and it does not matter if this one or this one is on, your answer is not. Okay, so that's a NOR gate. Okay, so an RS NOR latch is basically a memory cell. It saves your input status. Okay, and the reason it's called RS NOR latch is because the RS is it's going to have a set and a reset. In other words, you're going to have one input that comes in and sets it, and then you're going to have another input that comes in and resets it. So that's what RS NOR latch stands for. So you have your two blocks, and you're going to have this one space in the between, and you're going to put your torches down the middle. And it doesn't matter, well, it does matter actually. For my demonstration, I'm just going to build it, but when you're building this, if your signal's coming out backwards, like you want it off and it keeps showing on, then try switching this. But you're going to have your torches down the middle like that. If this signal is backwards to you, try taking the torches off, come down the other axis and put the torches like that, and that'll flip your signal. Alright, and from the torches you're going to put dust that goes into the other block. Same thing on this side. So as you can see, this is currently saving my output right here as being on. Okay, and this torch is on, it's sending power. It's also turning off that torch and that dust, because this dust is going into that block, that dust is getting no power. Okay, your inputs go into the sides of the blocks like that. Actually, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use a button. Actually, I'll just put the buttons on the blocks themselves. Okay, so because I put the lever, as you can see, it's switched, but it saved that information. Now this is off. Okay, so your inputs are going to be on the sides. When your input comes to the torch that is on, it turns it off, obviously, and that allows the other torch to turn on. And then it stays like that until you reset it. So you have your set, and then you reset. Okay, so this is really good if you want something to switch. Whoops, I missed the button. If you want it to switch, but you don't want it to switch back until something else happens. So that is called an RS NOR latch. Alright, and so let me go ahead and tear this down, and I'll show you a different method for memory cells, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the last thing I showed you was an RS NOR latch, and it is a memory cell, but it requires two inputs, one coming from one side and another one coming from the other side to switch your signal back and forth. However, if you want the same signal to switch your input or output, you would use what's called a T flip-flop. And basically it just flips your signal, it flip-flops your signal back and forth every time you send an input. Now the one that I like, you dig a hole, put a torch in it, and you're going to put two sticky pistons. Actually, no, I'm sorry, they can be regular pistons. Two regular pistons. You're going to put one right next to the torch facing the torch. You're going to put one a space away, like that. You're going to put a block in between them, and then you're going to put two blocks above that. From there, you're going to have a torch over each piston, and you're going to have dust across the top of the two blocks. Okay? Now, as you can see, the block is covering the torch that I put down there. And what that means is that torch is powering this block, so my output is currently on. Okay? The input is going to be, basically it's the dust. So if you come down like this, whoops. Okay, and I'm going to put a button. Now, the buttons, as you know, they actually give a 1 second delay. But in this case, it's going to flip my T flip-flop and turn it off. Now, the only thing that I don't like about this particular design is that when I push the button, nothing happens, but then when the button pops back out is when it actually flips. Okay, so what that means is it's only flipping when the dust turns back off. So to fix this, what we can simply do is put a torch up here. So now the signal's on. When I push this button, it's going to turn the signal off, instantly causing the flip to happen. Now that part's not required, but I prefer it to be a little bit faster than that, or than when the button extends. Now I do want to mention, whoops, that this is pretty much, okay, so now this line is off. When I hit it, it opens. When I hit it, it closes. When I hit it, it opens. When I hit it, it closes. It's pretty much a lever. However, but one, buttons look a lot nicer. Two, you can also use this with pressure plates. Okay, so you can use this for some interesting designs. In fact, I plan on showing you a hidden hallway door that kind of uses a T flip-flop to kind of make it look nice. But if you like the looks of levers, you can still use a lever to do pretty much the same thing. But this is kind of a more unique and better looking method. You can have a button on either side of the door, and one button you can turn it on. You can run over to the other side and have another button that's also hooked up to the same input. So if I had a door right here, I can open it here, run through, close it here, and keep going. But you can't do that with a lever, because if once you turn the lever on, it wouldn't close after you turn the other lever. So there you go, that's a T flip-flop. And let me go ahead and tear all this down, and we'll work with a couple piston manipulating circuitry. So I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and so the first thing I want to show you is a horizontal push. If you have two sticky pistons and a block in front of them, okay, and you want these to extend, and I really wish I had this when I built Wags Detail's house. This would have been really useful. Where the block is, like if I had the stairs there, I could put one redstone dust there, and then I'm going to go across like that. From there I'm going to use two repeaters, and it's going to be backwards. This one is going to be first, so I'm going to set that to, whoops, this one to 2, and then I'm going to send the second one to 4, and then the last one has 0. So I know that sounds weird. You're going 0, then you jump over 2 and 4. So just remember that I would remember the piston order if you're going to set this up. This one's going to be first, so it's got the 2. This one's going to be second, so it's got the 4. And this one's not a piston, so it has none. So that might be the easiest way to remember it. And so when you activate it, it extends both pistons. And then when you deactivate it, it pulls the block back with it. And I've seen there's a couple online where you can do it with a fourth piston. I'm sorry, a third piston, but it actually complicates the wiring a little bit more. But if you need a fourth piston, you can find that online. I believe Minecraftaddict has an example of that on his channel, and I will link that in the description as well. He's got a lot of very useful circuitries on his channel as well. Alright, so let me tear this down, and the last thing I'm going to show you is, like a lot of people are into the disappearing walls, disappearing floors, stuff like that, that open up and reveal staircases or a hallway or something like that. And usually to do it, you need like one set of pistons to pull the block back. Then you need like a second set of pistons to pull that block and that piston out of the way, and then you need a third set of pistons to push the stairs up in its place. So like you need 3 pistons to go, but they have to go from 1, 2, and 3. But then whenever you're turning it off, you want the stairs to drop first, 3, then you want the pistons to push the blocks out, so that's 2, and then you want the number 1 piston to push the block back into the hole. So it has to go 1, 2, 3, and then when you turn it off, it has to go 3, 2, 1. That may sound a little complicated, but you'll see what I mean in just a second. And this can go on forever, pretty much. But basically, for every one that you have, you're going to do 2 blocks like that. So we have 3. Right, and if you wanted, you can have 4, and etc. I'll do that part later. And what you're going to do is from the back blocks, you're going to have a repeater that charges that block. Over here and over here. Okay, so all these back blocks are charging the front blocks. Okay, from your input, so if we're coming in from over here, I'm going to use a lever actually. Alright, if we're coming in from over here, you're going to go along the line, and you can set these for however long the delay is. Just to make sure that the first one finishes before the second one activates. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to set this to 4 so that you can actually see it in action. Okay, and you're going to go all the way along the line as far as you want to go out. Then on the return, you're going to go from top blocks and do the same thing. Whoops, put that to 4. Okay, and then the output is just from each block. So now I'm going to demonstrate this, and if you'll watch, it'll go from right to left when I activate. Okay, but now it's going to go from left to right whenever I deactivate. So it goes 1, 2, 3, and then 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. Now obviously you wouldn't have the pistons pushing up. Like I said, this one would move the wall out of the way, this one would move that one plus the wall out of the way, and then this one would push the stairs up. Something like that. And again, this can be extended as far as you want. So I'm going to put that on 4. Oops, leave that one on 1. Put that one on 4 as well. So that just continued the circle basically. And put another piston here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, so I don't know what this particular circuit is called, if there is a name for it. But this might be useful for you if you need things to happen in reverse order when you turn it off. Now, I'm probably not going to go ahead and go into any further kind of gates or circuitries. I mean, they get real complicated. I'm also not claiming that any of my circuits are the most compact or even the best way of doing these. These are the ones that I found, that I like, that I use, but there are multiple different ways of doing different types of things with Redstone. My suggestion is if you need a particular type of switch or latch or anything like that, first I would go onto Minecraft Wiki and go through Redstone Circuitry and look at all the different things and find out what kind of switch you need. If you find out you need a NAND gate, which is a not AND gate, or if you need a XOR gate, okay, once you read the descriptions and you figure out, okay, that's the kind of gate I need, that does what I need to do with my redstone, this is how many inputs I have, that's what I want the output to do. Once you figure that out, don't follow their schematics. Do not. Instead, go to YouTube, search for Minecraft, and then type in the name of that particular gate. You might even want to add the word piston to it, because a lot of those switches and circuitries have been updated since pistons come out to make it a little bit easier to make those gates and make them a little bit more compact. And then watch how other people have made those gates, and it's a lot easier to understand a 3D video than it is to understand a 2D diagram on the wiki. Okay guys, so those are the different types of circuits that I find useful, that I use the most. Hopefully you guys learned something new and found that interesting. And I'm going to run over here and get a pumpkin that someone saw in my last video. But again, hopefully these were useful to you. If you learned something new or found this useful, please give my video a thumbs up and subscribe. And thanks again, guys.